As I'm writing this, images of scorched earth are dominating our news feeds. Portugal, Spain, Greece, even parts of North Africa are dealing with the fallout of unprecedented wildfires. These are called the fire-tsunamis, and according to experts, their impact will continue to worsen. Drought, extreme heat, and damaging winds are combining to wreak havoc, causing millions of acres to burn and displacing countless families. Some studies show that wildfires are already more common and longer lasting than they were just a few decades ago, and things don't seem to be slowing down. In a moment, we'll dive into the grim details of what's unfolding right now in Europe. But first, I want to share something disturbing, a pattern that some are noticing among these relentless blazes, a pattern that goes beyond mere environmental concern. They're arguing that what we're seeing isn't only a natural disaster, but might be part of a long-term plan, an agenda that predates climate change itself. This controversial idea has been floating around for years, buried under conspiracy forums and fringe websites. But recently, it started to gain traction. Even mainstream media is acknowledging the peculiar aspects of these fires, such as their timing and strange behavior. So here's the question. Could this year's tragedies be a culmination of something sinister that's been in the works for decades? If so, who's orchestrating it? Why? And how much of this nightmare scenario is rooted in reality? Before we move forward, stay with me until the end because what I'm about to reveal might challenge everything you thought you knew about global events. Let's start with the facts. Temperatures are soaring across the northern hemisphere, leading to intense heat waves. Southern Europe, especially Spain and Portugal, is grappling with a prolonged drought, making the landscape extremely vulnerable to fires. Strong winds are fanning the flames, making it nearly impossible for firefighters to contain the situation. And unfortunately, this problem isn't going away. Experts warn that as long as greenhouse gas emissions continue unabated, wildfires will become more frequent and severe, especially in regions already struggling with water scarcity. However, while these factors certainly contribute to the severity of the situation, they don't fully explain the extent of the devastation. There are instances where entire forest areas are lost within hours, leaving behind scenes straight out of a dystopian movie. Locals in some regions are reporting behaviors in the fires that they've never witnessed before. Some fires appear to start almost simultaneously across vast distances, as if someone lit matches at precise locations. Others spread in unnatural directions, seemingly ignoring geographical barriers. Even the timing of these outbreaks is unusual. Many are occurring earlier in the year than ever before, surprising experts who base their predictions on historical weather patterns. It's important to note that I'm not dismissing the very real dangers of climate change here. Instead, I'm highlighting aspects of the current situation that don't quite fit the standard narrative of heat plus dry weather equals fires. There are signs pointing to something more, something that raises questions that authorities seem reluctant to answer. To understand the root of these concerns, we have to look back 5 decades to a pivotal moment during the Cold War. Back then, governments in Europe were grappling with an escalating conflict. With tensions rising between East and West, NATO and several European countries devised a plan to tackle a potential threat: massive fires. Today, you might be thinking, why would they focus on fires? Didn't they have bigger concerns? Well, that's where things get interesting. At the time, wildfires weren't just a natural disaster. They could be a silent weapon. NATO strategists realized that fires could cause significant damage without the need for direct military confrontation. They could cripple infrastructure, disrupt supply chains, and cause substantial economic loss, potentially destabilizing nations from within. That's when covert projects began to take shape, projects involving controlled burn zones across Europe. Declassified files revealed details of experiments with astonishing precision. Documents referencing operations like Operation Prometheus, named after the Titan who brought fire to humanity in Greek mythology, detail experiments on manipulating and controlling wildfires for various strategic purposes. One report mentioned a project in Spain, known as Operation Dragon, which apparently aimed to simulate the consequences of a firestorm in Madrid. These tests involved creating controlled fires in specific patterns to observe how they spread and the overall impact on the environment. Other operations like Balltop in Norway and High Pine in Greece seemed focused on assessing the feasibility of using fires as a tactical military tool. Now, you might be wondering, what does this have to do with recent events? Why are we talking about 50-year-old projects when we're facing modern-day challenges? Here's why. First, it exposes a mentality that still lingers today. Even though the Cold War ended decades ago, the idea of using unconventional tactics for achieving strategic goals hasn't gone away. Second, it reveals a troubling truth. Back then, these experiments were usually kept secret, carried out in remote areas with limited public scrutiny. Could something similar be happening again today? And finally, it prompts us to examine the unknown factors at play. Just because we can't see a connection between past projects and present-day fires doesn't mean one doesn't exist. Let's fast forward to 2023. You're watching the news as the death toll from Maui rises. Climate change and human error are blamed for the deadly wildfires, but survivors point to strange occurrences. They say houses near the fire were mysteriously abandoned moments before the flames arrived, as if the residents knew what was coming. Was there a warning system in place that the authorities aren't telling us about? Rumors begin to spread about a sinister plot, including theories that the fires were intentionally set by the powerful billionaire Bill Gates, who's bought up land in the area. Others claim that the fires were part of a depopulation plan or a ploy to divert attention from other disasters. Despite these outlandish claims, they strike a chord with many. They highlight a growing mistrust of authority and a sense that the world is becoming increasingly unpredictable. People are looking for explanations, even if they border on conspiracy. Conspiracy theories surrounding the wildfires may seem far-fetched, but they reflect a profound distrust and disillusionment that has been brewing beneath the surface for a long time. This lack of trust is further fueled by misinformation, which spreads rapidly online, creating echo chambers that reinforce these unfounded beliefs. These rumors about deliberate arson, secret population control schemes, or connections to powerful figures may seem outlandish, but they resonate with people who feel disempowered and disconnected from official narratives. The recent wildfires have created a breeding ground for conspiracy theories. People are searching for answers and blaming powerful entities like the government or influential individuals like Bill Gates. Social media and online platforms amplify these theories, creating an echo chamber that reinforces these unfounded beliefs. While these claims lack evidence, they highlight a growing distrust of traditional authority and a sense of disillusionment with the world. People feel powerless in the face of large-scale disasters and turn to these theories as a way to regain a sense of control and understanding. It is essential to address the root causes of this distrust and engage in open dialogue to counter the spread of misinformation. Only by fostering transparency and understanding can we hope to bridge the divide and find common ground in these turbulent times. But there's more to the story. In the aftermath of a tragedy, people seek answers. When those answers don't come or don't come quickly enough, suspicion grows. They start questioning everything. Who benefits from the destruction? How much damage is there really? And is there anyone orchestrating these events? So is it possible that there's a secret plan underway, one that involves sparking fires in specific areas and letting them run their course? This question leads us to another pressing issue, the potential role of powerful interests in influencing events like the wildfires. It's not a stretch to think that some might benefit from the chaos. As the fires rage, certain individuals or groups could be positioning themselves to capitalize on the disaster. Whether through insurance payouts, reconstruction contracts, or the acquisition of burned land at bargain prices, the motivations are clear. But proving such conspiracies is a daunting task. It requires meticulous research, solid evidence, and the ability to connect the dots in a way that withstands scrutiny. In a world where information is abundant, but verifiable facts are scarce, separating truth from fiction is a challenge. The recent wildfires have raised suspicions about the role of powerful interests in fueling the disaster. Rumors abound that certain groups or individuals are profiting from the chaos. While such claims may seem sensational, they tap into a deep-rooted skepticism towards authority and the motives of those in power. The idea that the fires were deliberately set or allowed to spread unchecked for personal gain is a troubling one. It reflects a growing distrust of institutions and a belief that some are willing to exploit tragedy for their own benefit. So are these fires simply a devastating consequence of climate change, or is there a darker agenda at play? In the absence of concrete evidence, it's impossible to say for sure. But the very fact that these questions are being asked highlights a fundamental shift in how we perceive the world around us. We're living in an era where nothing seems beyond the realm of possibility. And as long as there are those who benefit from chaos, suspicions will continue to linger. And that's all for today. Please remember to subscribe and comment below. See you next time.